As you can tell, there's no motor here, and that's because it's in the shop getting its bore. Old 5.7 crank is gone. That's it right there, because I got a new one coming in the mail. I have a 6.4 crank for that motor. Got the air box out. So now what I'm going to do is turn this beautiful brand new sheet of diamond plate. Gonna cover that hole up. I think the other stuff I'm gonna wait, but I'm gonna see if there's something I could do around that too as well. But yeah, let's get to covering that giant open gaping hole. Boom, there it is. Now I'm going to drill a couple holes and rivet it in place. But I think before I do that, I'm gonna hit around it with the bed liner stuff, because once I rivet it on, it ain't gonna be coming off. So yeah. Now while that is drying, I'm gonna pre-drill a couple of holes here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put self-tapping screws in each one of the holes just to hold the plate up there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some RVT on the back side, so obviously it'll seal. But before I could do that, I want to make sure that's dry, and this has got its holes, so that way I can put the RVT gasket maker rubber stuff, self tap it to the firewall, and then what I'll do is I'll remove a screw and rivet. That way I don't have to worry about this moving around with the sealant stuff on the back. I know this will stay, and the rivets will make that permanent. So yeah, that is 2 self-tapping screws just to hold it in. Now I'm not gonna actually seal it or rivet it yet, just in case I need to get in and out of there. So, but that's what that's gonna look like. Yeah. So now I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the dreadful part of trying to run some of the wires through the cab. Alright, here comes the forest of wires. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start pulling this out, seeing what goes where, and seeing what I can actually get underneath the dash. Obviously this tray came out of the trunk with that fuse box here, so that means I gotta figure out how and what I'm gonna run, where I'm gonna mount the battery, because like I said, I'm gonna try to use everything. So if you guys have any ideas on how to mount a battery closer than having to run everything to the back of the truck, that'd be great. But yeah, let's get this out untangled. Let's see what this beautiful lovely heap of what looks like an ocean is only like a quarter of the wires, but this is going to be the under dash harness. Let's see, that is, oh, cluster, speedo. I know there's one around here that says key. So Now the fun part begins of just sifting through all this shit. Seeing what goes where. So yeah. This is the transmission module, so that obviously would go somewhere right here for the shifter. But yep, let's see if I can't start organizing some of this shit. Fun. Let's get her done. I've got the first set ran through, so like the cluster, all the stuff that's gonna plug into the dash here set. This is the alarm box. I'm gonna try to tuck that in there. Hopefully it'll fit with the cluster. This is plugged in, keys plugged in. Brake boosters finally all good. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to cut this one and splice it to run it closer to where the transmission goes. But as far as that first wire harness, that's all tucked up. So now I'm beginning to run the rest of the wire harness into that first wire harness that I put in. So I don't want to plug anything into the pedal yet, because out here is where it's gonna mount. So that's the lower bolt that's gonna mount the pedal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld this bolt to it so I can bolt it and unbolt it from inside. So this kind of worked out, this hole here, because there's a little lump that won't sit flush on the firewall. So what I'm gonna do here is I got this little piece of metal that I put into my cheap Harbor Freight press, and then I have a steel disc that I just pressed in and beat down, so now it's flush, and I got a little, I don't know, I guess a nipple you can call it, and that will cover all this shit. And then I'll weld that up, but obviously I don't want to mount the pedal to this when I weld it, so I don't fucking burn my pedal up. And then I'll do the same thing with the top bolt, weld it in right here so I can mount and unmount the gas pedal. So that's where I'm at with that. And then, like I said, brake boosters completely in. Everything's connected, wires to the pedals, everything like that. Obviously from here I'll have to get some lines. These are the old lines. Obviously I'm not using those. I might utilize that bracket though. It's pretty cool if that'll work with the motor. And then the motor is in the shop right now, and I'll have a video of the shop that I have it in. But for now, this video is just going to be a little update about the wires, the wiring. But so what I did was I just wheeled that whole box that the wires were sitting in. I got everything that I don't need hanging out the window for now. And again, I really don't want to have to cut any wires, but with the exception of like this, obviously it's too short, and I believe, I mean, obviously I gotta go through all this shit to find the other part that's gonna plug into that, but I want to pull that box closer to the shifter, and that's only 2 wires, so it's not like I could really fuck that up. But I'll probably splice it and then run a longer wire so I can just relocate this box. But so far, a lot of this shit is pretty good. It's just plug and play, and that's why I didn't want to cut any wires. Some of the stuff, like this would have ran to the driver's side door, Now obviously I'm not going to run any of the power shit for the window because I don't have any power stuff for the door. Not window, but the doors and all that stuff. So it is definitely already getting clustered underneath here. But like the O2 OB2 sensors already hooked up, ready to go. And yeah, so that one box, I already got that mounted up on the firewall. As you can see, I'm gonna rivet it on right here, but my fucking cheap ass rivet gun broke, so it's just screwed in on this one. But and then as you could tell, the second harness to the first harness is going to connect right there. That's what all these loose wires are. Will connect to a lot of these connectors here. So the main thing is just going to be getting everything tucked up underneath. But the good thing is it's actually got kind of a lot of room now that I took that heater core box out. I mean, you can see there's a lot of room to mount shit. So if I do cut anything, I'm trying to keep it small so I don't overwhelm myself with all these fucking wires to cut and solder back together. So, and then obviously I'm not going to cut this until I have the wires ran where I'm going to go, so I don't cut this and then something comes up and gets just tossed into the abyss up here. So just a little update, but it's coming along. I have a lot of wires to tuck, especially because I mean all this wire, especially from like that box, I believe was mounted where the center console was. I have a center console, but I don't think that's gonna fit underneath it because it sits right on that tunnel. So maybe I'll put that in once I get further along under the dash and figure out a way to put it in that console, and then maybe just put something on top of it so I could still use it as a storage. And obviously once I figure out the seat plugs, the seats will still have power, still work as they did in the car. So, but yeah, it's coming along. It don't look like it, but I'm getting shit done. So. But I think I'm gonna call that the end of this video, and I'll keep you guys posted. Stay tuned.